What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Natty News Daily podcast. I'm flying solo today, but perks of having three guys that run this podcast, we can kind of plug and play when we need to. I've got Shaun Fury, Joseph Wilson here. Welcome to the podcast, my boys.
What's up? What's up? Thank you for having us.
No
Good to be
worries.
here, man. Good to be here.
Shaun, you look like you're enjoying some nice weather right now.
I know. Yeah, I'm actually flying out to your side of the country tonight to see my mom. She's in Maryland, so I'm
Cool.
I'm trying to soak up the rays for now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, man. I think this is going to be a cool chat because I think this is something that is an exciting prospect, not only for natural bodybuilding, but bodybuilding as a whole, because we haven't seen something potentially like this ever. If it, like in some veins, yes, with like pumping iron back in the day, we've seen some stuff from like Generation Iron has done like documentaries and that kind of stuff, but this is kind of different, and I'm toying around with what I want to title this podcast, but it's going to be something like WWE meets bodybuilding or something to that effect, like a sports entertainment aspect to which bodybuilding is kind of sports entertainment to a degree. You know what I mean? Because there's no tangible metric of a win loss, right? I can't jump higher than you, I can't run faster than you, I can't lift more than you, but on stage we can, quote unquote duke it out and let the chips fall where they may. So I'm gonna give you the floor, man. What is this idea? People maybe that are tuning in have kind of seen this like what Natty King tournament you've dubbed it. What is that brain thing in your head right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So my interpretation for one, Natty King tournament is definitely tentative.
The
Personally, I
placeholder.
like it. I like it because it's got like a nice ring to it and it's very easy to remember. However, I do understand that within the sport and the community, to use the phrase natty, it's like very easy to attach like fake natty onto it. So it's kind of becoming stigmatized.
Hmm.
With that being said, screw them. It's like if we have these great physiques that are presented, what up, Valley?
What's the deal?
What's going
Hey,
on,
my
man?
guy.
Bad I'm late. How's everybody doing? Good morning.
It's all good. It's all good. We're literally just getting into it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we were just talking about the name and like what the idea is, and I was saying that like personally, I like the Natty King just because we already have like the world already has a familiarity with the term Natty, and to me, if we have haters and we have doubters and like we have like let's say we have 15 competitors and we're publicizing all of them. And they're all preparing to get crowned the Natty King. And then like we have those individuals like, oh, you mean the fake Natty King? To me, that's engagement. And engagement is kind of part of the game. So that's where I'm coming from.
Hmm.
Granted, it's not set in stone, so whatever. But basically, the idea is to basically televise the Natty King tournament and the lead up to it. So let's say it's a year out. Let's
Hmm.
say in 2028, the tournament is December. We would start televising, let's say, 10 to 15 competitors starting in January of that year. And we follow them, their prep, and we go deeper into their philosophy and methodology as to how they prepare to
Hmm.
be crowned the Natty King.
Now,
And yeah,
so the only thing that I was like coming into a conflict with that the last few days is like how I've been trying to introduce the fact that I feel like we should open up different divisions and also like incorporate the females into it because with anything females are involved in, whether it's fitness, beauty, fashion, whatever, they're going to spend their money. So the name, the Natty King, it contradicts if we were like, say, obviously run the course and do this for 3 years for what we got going on with the men. How do we transition the name to open it up for that? That's the only thing that I've been thinking about. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
other than that, I'm in love with the name too. You know what I'm saying? It just
It's
makes sense.
it's kind of interesting that you mentioned that too, because I've been in talks with and I sent you Sean Andre Galloway. He's probably one of the OGs of natural bodybuilding. I mean, he competed with Michael Hearn. He was on American Gladiator back in the day, but not a lot of people know about his name, right? And he's floated this idea that he wants to start having competitions, and so much is involved around the name. not the name of the competition per se, but the name of the individuals who are involved in putting it on. And so like there's a credibility aspect of it, which may garner some more support. So you kind of have to, in my view, you kind of have to merge, like the traditional natural bodybuilding with what you're trying to do. I think mainly because of the education piece and the people that were at the foundation of what bodybuilding is even today, and how much, it's interesting because not a lot of the natural bodybuilders even have, like you've mentioned, like you don't even know who
Who
you
they
would say
are.
that. Yeah, you don't even know who they are. And some of these guys, are like literally the most winningest, like even against guys on gear. And
And
so
not to knock Natty News, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the real reasons why I feel like I know any of the natural athletes that's competing, but
that's right.
they
Yeah,
can
yeah,
only get so much reach for those athletes. And I feel like the athletes are doing themselves a disservice by not trying to get what we're trying to bring, you know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
feel like Natty has trying to been, they were trying to put a spotlight on us for a while, but like I said, it's like trying to lead a horse to water and make it drink. If they don't want what we want, that doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we're the only two dudes that kind of like came together a year and a half ago, and the idea of what we came together with, it was just an idea at first, man. We didn't know where we were going with it, and the more we started like fostering the ideas and what we were going around networking with all these people, it just started to fall into place. And it just makes sense. And what we do, what we're doing is we stand for something big. Like I told Shaun something the other day. Like I know me and him are definitely trying to go down as for sure I guess you can say the greatest naturals to ever grace the stage or blah blah blah. But like I tell him all the time, like, yeah, we can say that, and I'm always stand on that, no matter how far we get in our career. But it has to be the people giving us that. We can't claim that title without the people giving us that title. But I told him, I said, regardless of that, we're going to be the greatest to ever do it because of what we're paving. This lane that we are opening up for naturals, that is going to transcend us to the top of all of this shit. So no matter what we actually do in the competitive nature of this sport, we're founding fathers of what we're actually trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I
I mean,
love about this.
I
Something,
like I
something,
go
something I
ahead.
just want to add to, your comment of people not knowing. I think we're gonna see that shift
Shift,
because
yes.
when I'm pretty entrenched in the sport and have been for quite some time, and a lot of the top natural athletes are late 30s, 40s, sometimes 50s, and they started training before social media, before the internet potentially even existed to a certain degree, right? So you
Yeah.
have all these winning top level natural bodybuilders who they simply don't, probably even use the technology to then document with,
That's
or
it.
if they
That
do,
makes a lot of sense.
and
That's exactly it.
it's a time thing, right? When I if we were to sit down and put some stats out there as far as like who, or no, not who, what age is winning natural world championships, natural pro cards, I bet our mean age is going to be like 40 straight up.
Yeah,
There's going to
yeah,
be outliers, but because naturally, we need, a lot of guys need that, 15, 20 years of grinding before they're
yeah.
really doing the damn thing, right? And getting those titles. So, if these guys are in their 40s and 50s right now and, you know, either don't use technology or use it at a minimum, of course, we're not going to know who they are. And obviously, that's compounded with the lack of media coverage on the natural side of the sport, which is continuing to change. And that's part of what Natty News is doing, right? Is changing that and spotlighting athletes who previously maybe never got a spotlight on them. But my point being is, I think this next decade, when you have the,
About change.
I'm 30, 31, right? So I've been using social media for most of my bodybuilding career and will continue to
Mhm.
do so. So, if you take my cohort of athletes who are in that 28, 29, 30, by the time we're 38, 39, 40, you will damn well know who we are because we've been documenting and doing this from the jump and winning the titles and winning the shows and that kind of stuff, right? So I think
Mhm.
this next kind of group of athletes that's coming up and will continue to then, quote unquote, dominate the sport naturally over the next decade, everybody will know who they are just because they've built that following from the ground up. I mean, I see some guys that are, my age with, 50, 60, 100,000 followers that are breaking through within the natural stream, but the guys that are winning those shows have like 3 followers. But
It's
that
true.
but that young
It's
buck
true.
just needs more time to get there and will only continue to build his following from that, right? So,
Mhm.
I think you guys are kind of in this like kind of perfect storm potentially of like attaching a social media jetpack to a select
Hmm.
group of athletes, right? And
Yeah.
some athletes might be from this organization and that organization and this part of the world and that part of the world, but if they have a reasonable following and let's just use this show and this group of people that are putting on this show have this other group of following, and then you mesh that, then instead of 50,000 eyes, it's 500,000 eyes. You know what I mean? Like that's what the sport needs, and that's what hopefully we do see, right? And sponsorships and that kind of stuff that are bigger names, because you know, the world champion 10 years ago, like he wasn't sponsored, he wasn't using social media, like he was the 9 to 5er and then go win worlds on Saturday and come home to his kids on Sunday. Like that's the world, right? But
Yeah.
that's changing.
We
Yeah.
definitely you are right about us hopping into the road at the right time because when me and Sean decided to kind of like do this embark on this mission. I think it was like right after we did the first interview with you. I want to say it was a couple months right after that. Taylor Manion was hopping on the IFBB Pro page and just announcing that they were going to start doing more natural shows and blah 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 blah. So me and Sean were looking at each other like, bro, like
Here
it
we
was
go.
yeah, it was just crazy the way everything started to happen. It was like, the way everything and that happened so genuinely over the course of this last year is just it's been a blessing and it's been dope to see, you know, um, how many people actually have been gravitating to us. I called Sean last night. Called him at like 1:20 or whatever. I was at a little bar with my girl and some of her friends, and I had 3 dudes walk outside. I'm sitting outside, talking to one of my buddies or whatever, drinking, and two dudes walk out, and then another dude follows, and one of the dudes, as I'm talking, he's like, "Hey, bro, I don't know not to bother you or whatever. Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Are you Valley or Sean?" I was like, "What the hell?" Like it just blew me away. He was like, "Yeah, it's like, bro, I watch you guys' content, man. You guys are fucking dope. You inspire me, blah blah blah." I'm not gonna lie. He said, "Man, He's like, every time I think about not going to the gym, I think about what you guys would do and blah 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 blah." So it's like just to see that, like, and I'm telling him like, bro, we're not where we want to be yet. But he's sitting there telling me like, nah, bro, like if I see you and then you're popping up on my For You page, blah blah blah, I know it's so many more people in this world that are seeing what you guys are doing, man. I just want to tell you guys to keep going, and you definitely are inspiring. So I was trying to tell him that last night because I like sharing the moment with Sean when stuff like that happens. But that's what happened last night, Sean.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, listen, I know that we're on a limited amount of time, and there are some specific questions that I want to pose to the group just to get additional brains on this. Valley, I appreciate you weighing in on you think that for this show, excuse me, for this show and tournament, you think that it really should be open up to as many people as possible. I'll say before Valley, provided that insight, my perspective was one division, have it be open. We're looking for the best physique and the best energy, charisma. Like we're looking for like an Arnold type character to represent the Natty King. Probably is me, maybe, probably, could be someone else. I don't give a fuck. Um, but we're looking to like create a figurehead. From Valley's perspective, we want men's physique, we want bikini, we want as many different divisions as possible in order to bring as many eyes and
Like
participation.
exactly.
Right.
Yep.
I would love to hear you two.
Have you heard of the
uh,
term jack of all trades, master of none?
Yes, I
yeah.
have.
I think it's smart to hyper narrow your niche to start,
Yeah,
So
I agree.
narrow but deep, right?
Yeah.
So one division of incredible athletes. Like when I'm talking incredible, like the best of the best. And you go all in on their journey, all in on their process, all in on one title for one person once a year. Then as it grows, just like bodybuilding started with men's and women's bodybuilding. That was it. Then they added men's physique. Then they added bikini. And then blah, 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 blah. Here we are with wellness and fit model and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. They didn't start with 20
Right.
because you spread yourself too thin. Now you haven't, the definition becomes blurry.
That makes
Hmm.
sense.
Whereas
Yeah,
Right.
I
I
agree.
think I think it gets
Yeah.
watered down.
From the
Yeah. Here.
get-go, right from the get-go, if you can say like Natty King tournament, the best natural bodybuilder ever, or
Hmm.
today, or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you can sum it up in a sentence, not we're trying to find the best natural athletes of this federation for this organization for these 17 divisions.
Right.
Right.
No, that's going to get blurry. And then you have too many bodies, right?
Yes.
That was the one thing about pumping iron was you followed what like Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, Franco, you know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
handful of names,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and
I think
we
it.
even see that with the untested side of the sport, right? Like obviously there's a large group of athletes that have a following, but people are really paying attention to like the top five
Hmm.
closely and then everybody else somewhat. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows CBum and then it trickles down from there. Um, I think I understand where Valley's coming from, and I think there's value to that later.
I
That
agree.
makes I see what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. If you're trying to set yourself apart as something that is different, because I mean, even with speaking with Andre, because he wants to start doing his Andre Galloway wants to start doing his own competitions, right? And he's even talking about kind of shrinking it into not having all this fit model and all this stuff. Obviously, I'm a little biased because I compete in men's physique, so I mean, but with what you're trying to do, then yeah, definitely, man. It would seem like you have to do that. And like with what Andre is saying, he said he wants, open bodybuilding, classic physique, and men's physique, and then three the same basically on the women's side. And I think like, what Leroy was talking about is like that's shrinking it down, I think, and I think there's a lot of benefits to that too as well, but with what you're trying to do, it's a little different. It's a little different than your typical like promotion of a bodybuilding event or competition within a specific league.
Right.
It's yeah, it's kind of totally different. And so with that being said, you kind of have to be creative, but at the same time, like what Leroy was saying, kind of hone in on exactly what you're trying to do with that. And then obviously names matter, like what you can bring matters to it. It gives it credibility. If it's just like me saying, yeah, I'm gonna do I mean, people are like, okay, cool. Now another way to get people hyped about it is prize money. Like that's what gets people like wanting to say, okay, this is something I'm going to spend my money and time doing because I know that at the end of it, there's a
That was
chance that I could get replenished for that because
Right.
everybody knows bodybuilding is expensive, man. So like it's not the the goal is not to be like, okay, I want to be a billionaire from bodybuilding, but you at least want to be compensated if you're in that top 1 through 5 and offering kind of like incentives for bodybuilders to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
that's really one of the reasons why I feel like me and Sean not only are trying to bring a spotlight to the sport, but we feel like we are under cared for in that category. So we're trying to bring a spotlight, but we feel like naturals deserve that same prize money, if not more, because we feel like shit, the work that we are putting in to get this kind of physique, it does take a little bit more time and patience to get this. So I feel like why aren't we glorifying these guys instead of the other side? So that's one of our priorities too when it comes to this. And I feel like you just said, if we can promote and bring prize money to this, you think about like the newer generation. Now, I mean, all these waves of people that want to do bodybuilding and hop on gear, they want to do it at the highest level because they feel like I can only make this money on that side.
That's right.
That's the
Yeah,
only reason motherfuckers are hopping on PEDs because
it's true.
I can't get 500,000 being natural and getting on. That's the only reason motherfuckers is really doing it, bro. And let's be real. So if we can bring money to this side of the table, you'll have a whole new world of athletes that are really like on the table of like, you know what, I'm gonna take this lane and I'm gonna go as far as I can naturally. And if I can't get on the stage, then I'll take this way. But now you got kids that are literally out of high school, in high school, that are fucking talking about hopping on PEDs. So it's like we definitely have that. That is definitely a priority for sure.
Yeah, you almost have to
Absolutely.
change the social, you have to change the social narrative around bodybuilding. And that's really the challenge. You have to change the minds of individuals. You have to create a need, like Shaun, I was talking on your live the other day, creating a need for natural bodybuilding. Because right now it's like there's a need to go the other direction. And I believe it has to do with, the social impact that,
Mm-hmm.
like gear has on our society. It's huge, like, and that's, Sam Sulek it's a testament to that. It's like the guy never even competed. He's got millions of followers. He never even stepped on stage one time. And a lot of the reason why people were following him is because they were amazed at what he was accomplishing, knowing full well what he was taking on. So there's a certain level of where, for me, this is something in my view, behind the scenes. And I was talking to Leroy before we got started about when I did my first competition at the LA Fit Expo, all the dudes were on gear. But even in the open, I placed third in my height class in the open. And so I think it may take more of that. It may take more of guys. Natty News Daily put this as a post the other day, how natural bodybuilders are going into untested events and crushing
Mm-hmm.
guys. And I believe that part needs to be done. I think because it literally you can, and that's at the amateur level, right? And so how can you break through those ceilings of the non-tested events as a natural? That's a good question to answer, and that's a good that's a good motivation to send the youth. It's like, hey, look, you can do this. You may not be the Sam Sulek, right? But if you're going to be a bodybuilder and you plan on doing it, why not give everything you have as a competitor against dudes on gear? Because I mean, there's no telling. And people put these limits on themselves because they have this perception. And so changing the perception requires breaking through ceilings and making it known, like, hey, this is a fact that you can do this. And I think that'll give a lot people a lot more motivation to choose that route.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna keep throwing out questions because I see that
What else you got? What you got?
we got a lot of
Send
passionate
it.
individuals
Hey
here.
man, we're right here.
I love the passion. Okay, so here's a really big one that I'm trying to figure out, and this was something that was discussed when we hosted Josh Manoe on our podcast, where at the end of the conversation we're talking about the desire to basically showcase the lives and the prep of 10 to 15 natural bodybuilders as they prepare for the Natty King tournament. But he mentioned that there's thousands probably of natural bodybuilders out there. And once this becomes more mainstream and we're casting for the show and we're looking to actually recruit these 15, from my perspective, I'm not looking to do 15 great physiques and they all look similar with similar backstories. So like from my perspective, it's like we have a ladies' man, we have an introvert who just doesn't like to talk to the camera and like, he's just like dialed in and he doesn't, he's,
Different
one of those.
personalities.
Yeah, like a bunch of different personalities. And the issue with that is that if there's two people with great physiques, but they have identical personalities, only one gets in. So I think that's kind of important to discuss right now because I'm not casting just off of your physique, and that really needs to be understood. But beyond that, I want to also create an opportunity for fairness in the selection process. So I would love to, hear some ideas as to if
Mhm.
there's a specific criteria that we should be working off of, et cetera.
You should have a body, have a body that votes, where you have all the panelists that are being considered, and then you have like maybe 4 or 5 panelists who don't stand to benefit. They have to be kind of outside of it in order to make it fair, and have them vote like, hey, these are the guys that we got. We're casting XYZ. What are your votes? Cast your vote, and then just use it, as a way to make it fair. I
What
mean,
you
that's
should
one idea.
also what you should also do, one thing that I like that you were doing on that podcast with Josh, how you throw out the Vegeta reference and then the Ryu, you should make a list of anime characters in a sense that every person that you probably like we end up selecting, you can
Mm,
throw into that kind of like, you
I
know what I'm
get that.
saying? That way,
Yeah.
because you've already kind of like put it like, oh, the lone wolf, or how you're trying to like depict who that character is. Shit, well, let's already give the audience who that character is to you.
Right. Right. So you like basically to build off of what you're saying, let's say we come up with like a list of 30 archetypes. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Shit, it's Samurai Jack, all types of like, yeah.
right,
Like,
right. And then we present that like this is what we're looking for. And if you
Hmm. Hmm.
fit one of these archetypes, submit under that archetype, and then we'll be able to choose you in relation to the other people who have submitted for that archetype.
exactly.
Yeah, I
I
think
That makes
I
sense.
think I think you'll have to just use your judgment, whether it's you or your team or whatever, and because you'll get. I mean, we even saw on Natty News, right? When I shared that thing, there was people commenting like, "I want in, I want in, I want in," and you know, you'll get great physiques that want in, you'll get subpar physiques that want in, you'll get champion this that wants in,
right,
first timer this that wants
right.
in, simply for the fame of it, and you have to keep that in
Mm-hmm.
mind, right? And not saying that's a bad thing, right? But
Thing.
that needs to be considered, right? So I think if you have like if you have 15 characters, archetypes, whatever the word you want to use is, and say like, hey, does this sound like you? I need a quick story and I need some physique shots. And
Yeah.
then you choose, right? Like go,
Hey, I like that.
and
I
Yeah.
it's
like
Maybe a
that.
no,
resume,
yeah,
maybe like
kind of like a
competitive
resume.
resume. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you
like
know
yeah,
how
give me some competition history maybe, and that is a criteria, right? Like if you have two guys that are exactly the same, this guy's won 7 shows, this guy's competed once.
and that's
Sorry,
exactly
man.
I
Like
like that.
no shade at the new guy,
I
but you
like
just don't fit the bill right now.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
like
like
that.
that.
Or
So
maybe
like
a qualification, bro.
do
Like
audition, like
maybe
do
do a
audition
pre
videos.
maybe do a pre-qualification to qualify for the Natty tournament, like the Natty King tournament. Do
Oh,
a pre-show, but like, hey, we're
oh,
casting for this, and we're gonna have a competition to see if you can fit. And then
oh,
it has like a bio. You do a bio, you do a video, and then you have a competition, and just like
Mm,
let whoever wants to come play. Hey, and then you could even have. I mean, of course, you could make a slight prize, or maybe you could compensate like hotels, or maybe you could do something
mhm.
like that.
I
Have the
think
guys
I
pay. I mean,
think
you
I,
should pay.
I think you make this super simple. You know what Tough Enough does? You know what Ultimate Fighter does?
Perfect
Yeah.
example.
You
Thank you.
you you send a video
yep, I just said
and
audition videos.
you got 2 minutes to give me your story,
Yep,
your background,
and your
and
physique.
you're gonna send me a write up quick of competition history and some physique shots. That's it. And then
And what? And I, honestly, I
you'll
would
have
love to.
1,000 to go through, but you're gonna go through them real quick, and you're gonna say, I like this dude, this dude, this dude, and this dude. Done.
And you,
Easy.
one question I would want to throw into that. I want to know their why.
Mm, yes.
Why should we choose you, and why would you be a good representation of the Natty King? Why?
Right. I love that.
Because your why has to wow me. Because I don't, your character and all that is dope and shit like that. But what we're trying to do is, I want somebody who understands what we're trying to do. You get what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm. I love that. I love that. Perfect. Beautiful. I love the Tough Enough Ultimate Fighter reference because I'm definitely
Yeah, that
using a
was my
lot of
shit.
that format for this structure. All right. Moving on. We do have Greg Doucette, who is signed on as a head judge. I would love
Mm-hmm.
to get your thoughts on the judging criteria, if we would want to use a specific federation's format, or because me personally, as discussed with Valley and Josh, I would like to put a heavier emphasis on posing.
Make our own.
Um, I'm looking for more of a grace and more of a presence on stage. So bringing that kind of
We want
level of
guys.
elegance to the performance. I want to put like more value on posing, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Hmm.
So just to confirm, you're still looking for the best athlete. So when game day comes, my story doesn't matter, my history doesn't matter. That's irrelevant at that
That's for
point,
the show.
correct?
That's
Yes,
definitely
sir.
for the
Yes,
show. The judges
sir.
Okay.
are not picking
Yes,
on the
sir.
story.
Okay, so that needs
None
to
of that
be
matters.
made clear, right?
Yes.
Because there's going
Hmm.
to be people that are going to be like,
Oh,
well,
you chose him because it is.
Well, yeah, like oh, his sob story, or the arrogant asshole who has the best physique. Well, he's not going to get picked because nobody likes him.
Right.
That
Screw that.
there needs to be a clear distinction of the lead up being one thing and game day being another thing, right?
Couldn't agree
Thank you for
more.
that. Thank you
Could
for
not agree
that.
more.
But
Thank you for that.
I think you take what already exists in judging. And if you, which I agree with everything you said
Retrophysical.
as far as posing and stuff, I think posing should matter more than it does.
Hmm.
And maybe that's just, for this event,
Hmm.
there's a certain percentage of your score that's going to be posing, but everything else is still size, proportion, conditioning, symmetry, like everything that exists in the world already. You're just saying, yep, but also with what we're looking for, this also matters. So if you're a robot on stage, I'm sorry, but that's going to negatively affect your posing and your
Right.
scoring, which
Right.
is that's what these
The
group
re-
of people have signed up for.
Yeah,
the
because that's
reason
the
why
fans.
the reason why the
Fans,
posing. Go ahead.
go ahead. No, posing, I mean, in my view, posing is for the fans. Like when you get like the judges can judge, they can look at proportions, they can look at symmetry, they can look at, I mean, there really is, I mean, when you look at a physique, it's like balance. You have conditioning, you have symmetry, you have, size. Of course, those are gonna, you can't have somebody that just doesn't have, the size, symmetry, or shape. It just won't be. Now the posing, like song selection, posing style, like fluidity, stuff like that. If you put more weight as far as the scorecard on that than you do the physique, kind of, I don't know. You have to.
And just imagine the following that the introvert is gonna get for a year of I can't pose. Oh my
Oh
God, I'm
my
gonna look
gosh.
terrible. But
Yeah.
he grinds for a year, and then
And comes out and just like kills it. Like
that
music
episode
is
airs.
crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy's gonna get over real quick.
Yeah.
Valerie, what were you gonna say?
Uh, what the
He
hell was
lost
I
it.
gonna
He
say?
lost it. He lost
No,
it.
it was about posing. Oh, me and Sean had talked about this. Like, I hate when you do the prejudging and everything like that. Like, I don't like the fact that judges kind of already like have in the back of their mind top five after prejudging is already set. So it's like, what is the fucking point of me learning this whole routine for me to get up there
Hmm.
just to still take 10th place? I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
like that aspect because it's like if I'm doing this with the hopes of me actually trying to see if I can move up in the ranks, why not actually give that more of a like a note to it? I don't know how to explain it, but it's like why is that even there if we just want to, like you just said, it's just for the fans to see me do a
Yeah.
posing routine? Like, what is that
And
for?
and I would say I think we have two options when it comes to the prioritization of posing. One is it actually does get factored into the final score as to how a judge decides who gets crowned the Natty King. That's one option. And then the other option is like a fan favorite type of thing where your posing routine gets considered by the fans. And let's say there's a
Yeah.
televised event and you have people voting in, there should be some
Hmm.
kind of prize or like reward for the individual who gets selected apart from the judges. This individual's being selected as like, yo, that was the guy who stole the show. Like we were like that was our favorite.
Okay,
And
Well,
if
and
it
that
coincides with the Natty King, great for him. But like maybe there's a Natty King and then there's the People's Champ.
Well, and that's you see every show do that, right? Every reality show text the
hmm
word posing to 3332 to vote, right? Or
Yeah.
text the name for whatever,
America's
right?
Got Talent, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
They all do that, and
yeah,
that is so probably simple to set up. It's probably not even
right,
funny, but
yeah,
Yeah, because
that's an element of engagement that you can then use, right? That
yeah.
sure we have
what did you guys think of Sam Sulek's posing, by the way?
I thought it was blocky. I thought
it
it
could
was
have been
stiff.
better. It could have been a lot better, bro.
It
That
wasn't
shit was.
fluid to me.
I didn't even really. The physique could have been better. I feel like the name won the show, but I mean, he was.
I won't go there, but I would have to say, like, the posing, man, like not a comparison to like, but comparison to the other competitors there. Like if you watch their posing routines, and so it's like, okay, how much is the NPC putting on the actual posing routine?
Zero,
Like
yeah, it's
I
not
don't know, I don't
judged.
know,
It's
I don't
not
know.
judged at
zero,
Yeah.
all.
zero.
So I think that's one thing, you could differentiate yourself a lot, and I think that like fans would appreciate that. I think, like just looking at the posing, like that was dope. Like that deserves to be rewarded, or points should be deducted because it was
And
so bad.
and point being, not like that, but point being, remember Sean, the show we were supposed to meet Coach at to go see Tony O'Burton at the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I think it was a national show. I ended up going to the show. She just came from Brazil, the Arnold Classic in Brazil. I think he came in first or second or whatever. But when he came to Anaheim, after prejudging, it was already pretty much set. Everybody knew Tony O'Burton was going to win or whatever. When he came out and did his fucking posing routine, dog, I swear to God, I was so like, he did like maybe 4 poses, 5 poses, and it was like so lackluster. Like, this is my friend. This is the
But
guy that we
why
actually
is
know
that?
personally.
Do you guys?
Because he already knew that he fucking won.
But
So
why
he
is
didn't.
the maybe? I mean, Leroy, you might be able to answer this better. But why do they not? Like that's something I just don't understand. Like, why is it not judged, and why?
I don't know if this is the concrete answer, but I think as a coach, as a competitor, I think there's some people who say, um, I can't dance. Why should that cost me a bodybuilding show? Um,
Hmm.
which
That's
which
bullshit.
which
That's
I
Bullshit.
think I think when you get into this sport, um, the posing is at the end of the day what you do on stage, and learning how to pose properly and effectively is important, and it's a skill and you need to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's a balancing act, right? Because some of the best physiques in the world can hit those mandatories like nobody's business, but they got two left feet when it comes to making a routine to music. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that,
I don't,
but
because if the sport includes posing, then the sport includes posing.
shit. I didn't know
Like,
how to do none of this
well,
shit before.
and that's why it would be weighed less, right? Like it's going to be 20% of your score, you know what I mean? So if
I'm
you figure the best physique, if the best physique is walking away with like a 9 out of 10 in all judging criteria and then a 5 out of 10 in posing, he's still gonna win, and he probably should. But
right.
I mean, you look at Sebum, like Sebum pose well, but not like
Mhm.
Breon, or sorry, not like Breon, not
Right.
like Terrence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
there's an element of that is probably innate skill. Like I don't think Sebum could have ever practiced enough to pose like Terrence.
Right.
That's just something that he has, you know what I mean?
I mean, I look
And
at it
he's
like
yeah.
my daughter is a she's a competitive cheerleader, right? And so I learned a lot even before I started bodybuilding, just, working with her and, just seeing how they prep. I don't know if you guys ever seen, cheerleading, competitive cheerleading, and like they get judged on their facial expressions. They get
Mm.
judged on the fluidity, of course, and all those things, and so to me, it mirrors more of the athleticism and the ability, rather than just the musculature.
Mm.
Because like you can pack on muscle, but like to be an athlete, right? You should be athletic, and then the posing is an outflowing of that athleticism, and I think if you're going to do it, you have to put a priority on that, and I think just from a fan standpoint, from somebody looking, it just adds that value to it. So I mean that's something that, again, definitely to consider.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Cool.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Segue. So
Give me
let's say
one
we
more.
get, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's say we get 15 great bodybuilders and they look amazing. In fact, they look too amazing. Some of these guys, there's no way that this guy's natural. Like, how do
Mm.
we? Yeah. So,
Oh,
what are?
testing.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
If
I
you
like
if
the
you
WMBF, man.
if you want to
Okay.
do this properly, and you want to not only stand out from everybody else, but also legitimize it, you test everybody the whole year.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
it's
year
it,
round.
Ooh,
it's gonna cost you some money,
ooh.
but you random test these 15 athletes the whole year,
Four
and
times.
then sure, we got 4 quarters, test them once a quarter leading up to the
And
show.
we can even do random shit. Fuck the bullshit. If we feel like somebody is
No, it
doing some
has to be
shit,
random. It has to be
Yeah, it has
random.
to be.
Yeah.
You random test them the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
with the most stringent testing you can,
Blood
and
work.
then yeah, whatever. And then you poly them before the show, and you urine test them after the show, and then you say,
Yep.
okay, our athletes have all been exposed to, let's say, 6 drug tests leading to the show, which by all standards is 6x what most are exposed to, any federation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least 3x if
Yes.
they're doing poly and urine,
Right.
because that's the only way you could somewhat legitimize the people being natural before the event,
Mm-hmm.
leading to the event, and after.
Right.
And
I
then
like
is it lifetime natural? Because that's the other thing. Because
That's that's the
there's a
other
seven
thing that
year,
you
there's a
have to.
10 year, there's a
there's no
three
way to
year,
really
there's
choose. How can you not like that? But how do you
how do you
how do
prove
you
that?
prove
no, no,
somebody's
no. I know you
not
can't prove it.
natural?
I know you can't prove that. But I mean, that's something. I mean, maybe you could polygraph that. I don't know. But
This is the tricky part
You know how
because
easy it is to lie on that damn polygraph test,
well,
bro?
that's the thing, and this is like an entirely separate conversation. But my goal is to bring competitors to this. Like, I want to promote competitors that have integrity. Like, I don't want to promote liars. I would love to have all lifetime naturals, and if every person who gets selected is a lifetime natural, fantastic. They better fucking tell the truth. And if it gets outed that they are lying, then it's a huge problem for me.
They're
And
off
it's a
the
huge,
show.
yeah. So like that's where I'm coming from. But that's a bridge that we'll have to cross.
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the most legit way you do this is you do uh like off-season testing leading to the event, right? And you document that. You say like, knock, 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 like, hey, what's up there, Leroy? Yeah, we're just here for you know,
Blood work.
your
Yep.
Q1 blood work. Like, strap in, soldier. Like, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what you do, right? And
Yeah.
we'll see you sometime over the next year, 3 more
Right.
times. Like that, you
Yeah.
have to do it that way because that's the only way that you would be able to argue against the fake natty claims as being like, look, like, and, people will be like, well, it's all for TV, blah, blah. Like,
Right. Right. And it would have to be highly like marketed. Like that's part of the promotion material. All of these athletes were tested 6 times throughout the year. Yada
yeah,
yada yada. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like, and at the end of the day, like, are you going to be able to like prove to the deep, deep hater? Of course not.
No.
But the more you can, hand over heart, say, look, we did, not only did we stringently test, but we did the most stringent testing in
Out of
natural
everyone.
bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
I
because
like that.
like the WNBF, for example, they do off-season testing. I was
Yeah.
tested at an event last year. But I've been a professional with them since 2022. I was tested once so far, right? But it comes down to dollars, right? And people forget that. They're like, oh, we need off-season testing, blah, blah. Like, that's a lot of money for
It
federations to
is.
cough up, right? But
Yep.
again, if these federations have hundreds of athletes to try to test, like, of course it's not going to happen. If you
Right.
commit to 10 to 15 people and say, like, look, this is going to cost us like 30 grand this year, but it's going to legitimize our event. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta eat that.
Hey,
But
you know,
that's the only way to do it.
Hmm.
you was crazy. That the idea just popped in my head hearing him say that. With us doing this show and everything that we're trying to put together, bro, I'm pretty sure we'd be able to find a fucking doctor that would give us like a discount for what we're trying to
Oh,
do, type of thing. You know what I'm
let's
saying?
not
Like,
worry about money right now. Money materializes
no, I
as
know
this
that, but I'm
thing.
just saying,
Yeah.
like, I'm pretty sure we'd find somebody that would want to work with what we got going on. We're bringing him business essentially. So, you know what I'm saying? So,
Sponsorships and investors and all of that stuff that materializes. I mean, that's a level of logistics that we're obviously going to have to focus on over the course of the next couple of years. But that's not a concern of mine at all.
got you.
There you go. There you go. Awesome, boys. Well, I appreciate the chat. This was good.
Cool, man.
Like,
I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
exciting prospect for the sport.
Looking
Yes,
Hell yeah.
forward to
sir.
it, guys.
Cool, cool,
Um,
cool.
I don't think there's any socials for this yet in particular. So I
No.
guess where do people find any updated information through you?
Yes. My social is at Shaun Fury, ShaunFury, and then me and Valley Muscle have a joint. Valley Fury, Valley with two Y's, Fury, and then we got Valley Muscle, Valley with two
Yes,
Y's.
yes,
Cool.
sir.
Cool. All right, people. Well, if you guys
All right,
enjoyed this
boys.
episode with the boys, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next one.